Europe might be losing a country. Well, technically, this continent could lose several countries. We're specifically talking about Belgium here. In my opinion, if I had to make a tier list of countries that are most likely to be lost in the next century, well, first of all, any country bordering Russia, that is a sad reality that we live in, but it has to be said. Maybe some of the micronations like Andorra, Liechtenstein, San Marino. Also, here's a possibility. What if the EU decides to stop functioning the way it's functioning and actually unites into a singular nation? I mean, if we're talking about like 100 years into the future, I guess that's possible. I guess there could be a massive debate about that in the comment section down below.
So while other countries have their language uniting their people, sadly for Belgium, its upper region called Flanders
very divided.
Speaks
Dutch, and then the southern part speaks French. The part that borders Germany, there's some German speakers.
While the southern Wallonia is mainly French. This is why it was proposed to split the country.
There's a whole meme about Belgium being basically a fake country. They're fighting for their life over here.
Split the country. However, the problem is that the capital, Brussels, is located in Flanders. Moreover, this proposal gives all the coastline to Flanders and none to Wallonia. Another
would
option
struggle.
is to unite Dutch-speaking Flanders with the Netherlands and Wallonia with France.
Yes, or what about Wallonia with the great and powerful Luxembourg? They're rich over there. Obviously, they're doing great. Now, one thing that really helps the sovereignty of this country is not only the headquarters of NATO is in Brussels, but also the headquarters of the EU as well. That's certainly got to be making this nation feel a little bit safer for sure. So Americans would finally be correct when they guessed French fries were invented in France. They were invented in Belgium, but if we split it up, who knows? We could be correct. Only an American can believe that Belgians and French can unite. None of them want that. I actually asked a French guy this one time. Yeah, he did not want this. As a Belgian, will never happen. And you missed a lot. Switzerland with 4 languages looking at this. It's so funny though, because we don't have the same conversation like this with Switzerland. Even though these two countries have a lot of similarities, you don't see the jokes about Switzerland being a British invention, like Belgian is kind of a British invention, according to the memes. Imagine an entire nation built off just a little bit of trolling. As a duchy, Belgian infrastructure is so bad that it was calculated that amount of money needed to bring it up to Dutch standards would exceed the value of Belgium being added. Oh, that's the most Dutch comment I've ever seen. Netherlands thinking money, France thinking money, Belgium crying, Luxembourg dead. I think Luxembourg would have a tough time surviving as just like a random landlocked nation in between those new places. It is still a landlocked nation, but Belgium, they like Belgium. That video is by Happy Earth. What if Luxembourg tried to reunite their old territories? Perfect 2 video combination. Now remember, there's a thing called Greater Luxembourg. The idea of a Luxembourg in Europe is actually bigger than you might think. The only reason why I know this is when I play strategy games as Luxembourg, I have to claim that I already am owed these lands in general. But what if in real life they actually wanted to get all this new stuff back?
Luxembourg is a small country and wouldn't have an army. However, they would use their wealth to develop a secret weapon.
That's true. Also, maybe they could like pay from the inside some civil dissidents. The Luxembourg people want to rejoin with their Papa Nation. Does that even make sense? Now, there'd be 3 neighboring nations that would really probably not like this. That would be the French, the Germans, and then of course the Belgians, like we talked about. They would really not want this to happen. But they do have some of the highest GDP per capita in the entire world.
Belgium would move its army to the border. However, something strange would happen. They wouldn't find any soldiers, but they would hear a faint buzzing sound.
Belgian drones.
Soldiers would look up at the sky and
hilarious.
See Luxembourg's secret weapon, an army of drones.
That is probably, oh man, the way, I mean, this is what they kind of talk about in the future of warfare as technology continues to advance, with obviously drones, robotics, and then who knows with AI. Like countries that are really small that don't typically have a lot of manpower, they might be able to fight like legitimate wars and win against much bigger powers. And since Luxembourg is so rich, maybe this is a possibility. Okay, taking over all of Belgium, I don't know if that would happen, especially because NATO would not want something like this to happen. All of NATO would start to fight, I would think. Luxembourg, that sounds like an insane statement. They wouldn't let it go that far and that fast. But
separatist movements in France, and as many countries declare independence, Luxembourg would use the chaos to snatch their old...
I mean, the problem is that Luxembourg has like a current military, standing military of like 1,000, right? Maybe it's more than that, but why? I think it is 1,000. Okay, yeah, as of 2021, there's about 900 professional soldiers and 200 civilian staff. That's barely over 1,000. That's not even 1,000. I mean, they only have 900 professional soldiers. Is it all for show? Like, I'm really wondering what's going on. But yeah, in this universe, it's the future.
Now, only Germany would remain. They would try to fund separatist movements
in the East,
Germany
in Bavaria,
as well. However,
Bavaria.
Germany would see this and attack Luxembourg. Luxembourg would use their drones to destroy the German army. However, they would run out of drones. And since
I think another thing to possibly have to talk about, let's finish the video.
Any soldiers, Germany would win the war.
Okay, another thing that we should consider is cyber warfare in the future. I mean, maybe with Luxembourg, I was trying to think. I was going to say you need manpower for cyber warfare, but maybe in the future AI can commit a bunch of cyber war crimes. I wonder what that even is, cyber war crime. Realism was invented in 1945. People in 1944. It's a nice way to put it. Bro learned history from a frying pan. Belgium has over 6 times Luxembourg's GDP. They're being able to have more military spend. Yeah, I mean, Belgium right now would absolutely crush Luxembourg. It wouldn't even be close. And that's Belgium. We're not even talking about the big powers like France and Germany. Drones versus Belgium's anti-air system. Yeah, maybe this would just be an excuse for Germany to invade France again. And this video assumes that Luxembourg wouldn't be able to buy military friendships. Imagine if Luxembourg like got Switzerland in on the war, because they're a rich and powerful nation too, but obviously a little smaller country. Very nice. Mapper Manic. The safest countries for World War III in Asia. I love these videos. I love this trend. He's doing every single continent. Just me off the top of my head, if I had to pick something in like 0.2 seconds, I'd pick Bhutan. Super tiny. It's up in the mountains. Of course, people would probably forget about it. So however, Bhutan is smashed in between China and India. That's probably going to be a major front line for World War III. If they're both on the same side, then yeah, Bhutan is fantastic, but I would assume they're probably not going to be. Mongolia might be fantastic because I'd have more faith that China and Russia would be on the same side of World War III. One thing's for sure, you would not want to be in places like South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, the Philippines. They will definitely be allied with the West. I would say East Timor because it's a small country, but you don't really want to be in East Timor in general. The Maldives is singing to the ocean. You don't want to be in that. Yeah, it's got to be Bhutan. Let's see if he agrees.
Russia, India, or the entire Middle East, you are out of luck. However, China does have some desolate regions near Xinjiang.
Oh, true. If we're going to break down some of the bigger nations, then yeah, like Russian Siberia would be fantastic. Even if a nuke is dropped on Russia, they're probably not going to drop it out in the Far East.
Russia's Siberia is also too vast to be attacked. Southeast Asia would have been safe, but their dispute over the South China Sea could...
Yeah, I think I was going to say Indonesia and some of the random islands, they probably would be pretty chill.
Get them involved in the war.
Although that was not the case for World War II. Obviously, Japan got down there, took over a bunch of things. It was horrific.
Asia is also dangerous because of North Korea. This leaves only the Central Asian countries and Mongolia as the best choices.
I did say Mongolia. Oh, come on, Bhutan. Bhutan. I don't know if I'd want to be in Central Asia because Russia would probably want to get that territory back and reform like the USSR. Kazakhstan's a big country. It's kind of hard to miss on a map. It is pretty rural though. Meanwhile, Bhutan, who doesn't even recognize most of these countries. Okay, there we go. At least someone said it. Nepal and Bhutan being buried in the mountains. You got the popcorn ready? Bhutan is pulling out the Switzerland. Okay, so most of the comments agree with me. Bhutan, Nepal, the Maldives, or Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka's not a bad idea either. India might mess with that island though. In the Middle East, I was gonna say Kuwait because they kind of don't like war, but it'll be like Belgium in World War I. But between Saudi Arabia and Iran, yeah, I didn't want to pick any place in the Middle East. It's probably not gonna work out well. Very nice, Matt Lad. Greenland is for sale again? Well, let's see.
Canada, saying that it should be a state. According to some
talking
reports,
about this.
Trump suggested that if Denmark doesn't cooperate, they would face high tariffs as a punishment.
That's probably not a great idea to threaten a U.S. ally, also a U.S. ally that's in NATO. Also, Denmark controls access to the Baltic Sea, which obviously Russia wants access to the Baltic Sea. It's a mess. Probably not a great idea unless you can really get Denmark on your side.
And Greenland have stated that Greenland is simply not for sale.
Yeah, of course they're not going to want to sell that unless we just give them like an unfathomable amount of cash. Maybe even that is not enough though. 2005, defending from Russia. 2025, defending from USA. Trump plays Hoi 4 100%. Imagine all other NATO members rushing to have an alliance with Russia to defend themselves against the USA. Greenland doesn't need America's healthcare. Nice summary, Mr. Geo. Here's the country ball summary by Mr. Spherical. Lots of parking space, Eskimos. Oh, you're not supposed to use that word, but I don't think Trump ball in here knows that.
We have the best tanks, the best planes.
Yeah?
No one can do it better than us.
Is that Latvia? Or is that supposed to be Denmark, but we can't see the other side of his face?
We Americans love all the nature. And the oil.
It's not even green.
And the oil.
Yeah, maybe that's what they're thinking right now. We need Greenland as our 51st state. Meanwhile, Puerto Rico, seriously. Denmark got so mad he turned into Latvia. That's literally what I was thinking. We got Trump ball before GTA 6. Denmark covering Greenland's ears at the start is kind of cute to me. I'm sure they wish they could do that. Earmuffs. Again, that video is by Mr. Spherical. But here's all the US states at their greatest extent. Oh man, I already know what video or how this video is going to end. Actually, there's 2 states in mind in particular. Maybe 3. We're starting off with Arizona, which Arizona wasn't that big historically. That's probably why they're in the very beginning of the video. They kind of just had this little corner here at the southern part of Nevada. I have a big land at my greatest extent. Okay, now Arkansas, buddy, I have more land. Wait, what was that? Ooh, look at the long Arkansas boy. They have like Oklahoma. Then we have Connecticut graded. Oh, that's right. And Connecticut is such a small, man, not to be mean, but I ask myself so often why Connecticut exists. I mean, besides the historical significance being a part of the original 13 colonies, but it's just like, what goes on here? I'm just a big long square. Oh my. Meanwhile, California at its greatest extent. Okay, what does this, what are we referencing here? Historical? I didn't know that. Maybe when it was still under the Mexican Empire? Possibly. Meanwhile, Virginia. Okay, so Virginia was one of the states, one of the 2 or 3 that I was thinking of, but one of the 2. Technically, Virginia used to be absolutely massive. I mean, even when they still just had West Virginia, they were a lot bigger than they are today. I think everyone knows the #1 state. Oh, so we have Indiana at its greatest extent, Michigan at its greatest extent, Missouri. Oh, I think, okay, never mind. Let me just keep going. New York's greatest extent, Texas. Okay, this was the 3rd one that I forgot to add, because Texas used to be very big. Okay, so now we know these borders aren't like exactly accurate, but it essentially looked like that. Yeah, so this former republic had a massive territory that stretched into 5 other states: New Mexico, Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado, and Wyoming. Lots has obviously changed since back then. They would definitely like to go back to this, I'm assuming, maybe if it goes independent. And there is Louisiana. That's who I thought was going to be #1. Interestingly, though, it appears that Missouri had a very similar shape to Louisiana, except obviously they don't have Louisiana in this situation. So Louisiana would be, the Great Louisiana Purchase would be bigger. Fun fact, Louisiana has its largest extent when it was still under the French rule, under the name Louisiana, that, I don't want to pronounce the French word there. I'm going to be terrible at that. Alaska, I am the biggest state. Louisiana, well, that's not always been the case. Alaska left the chat and was selling to Liechtenstein when they almost got sold to Liechtenstein, yes. My phone got set on fire from how fire this edit is. This is a really good video. We should probably do like a battle between all the mega states in like an AI battle royale on the gaming channel. That video is by basically Ty. I absolutely love his videos. All the countries that have problems in the Balkans. Oh my goodness. And he's going to do it in 1 minute. Geography now is an absolute mad lad. How is he going to cover all this?
Serbia, Croatia, and Bosnia and Herzegovina have always had some kind of level of drama with each other, even though they're all basically the same people. And Serbia generally has problems with Albania.
That last line. That's got to cause some tension.
Yeah, because of the whole Kosovo thing. North Macedonia has had drama with
ethnically,
Greece because of the word Macedonia, which is a whole other thing. And then they also have drama with Bulgaria because Bulgarians believe that Macedonians are just confused Bulgarians. And they also have a little bit of drama with Albania because of the Albanian community that lives in North Macedonia. And that's a whole other thing.
That's the other problem, is all these people live in, there's always like ethnic minorities in these other countries. That's why this region's always getting ready to blow up. Don't forget the Balkans is basically the reason why World War I started. Not basically, it is.
Romanians have a little bit of drama with Hungary because of the Hungarian community within Transylvania.
That's because of the old Hungarian borders. For World War I, Hungary was big, then it got chopped up, so there's still a bunch of Hungarians that live in Romania.
Hates Montenegro or Slovenia per se. They just think that Montenegrins are super lazy and that Slovenians are Austrian wannabe sellouts. Pretty much everybody except for Albania and Kosovo and half of Bosnia and Herzegovina hates Turkey. And
absolutely. Well, that dates back to, it's funny how much it all dates back to history, but they don't like Turkey because of the historical ties with the Ottoman Empire.
Because it would be considered xenophobic, but as an American observing from the outside, and it doesn't really affect me, I can pretty much observe and say that it's pretty freaking obvious that everybody, including the Turks, hates the Roma/gypsies.
Yes. Yeah. They wear that on their sleeve. They don't even hide that fact. Sounds peaceful. I'd visit. I actually do unironically really want to visit the Balkans. I'm extremely excited one day. I heard it's beautiful. It's a great place to travel. The Balkans be like, the enemy of my enemy is also my enemy. As a Greek, you were right about everything, especially the last point, but TBH, that's everyone in Europe, not just the Balkans. I have a personal issue with Bulgarian split squats. Me too, buddy. Dream Trip, the whole peninsula is like a theme book for racists. Awesome video, Geography Now. Explaining Eastern Europe to Americans, except this is all of Eastern Europe, not just the Balkans.
That's Romania. The one
Hungary?
with the beach. That's
Wait,
Croatia.
Hungary what?
I'm from Hungary. The one with the vampires.
No.
That's Romania.
Yes.
The one with the beach. That's Croatia. The one without the beach. That's Bosnia. The one with Melania. That's Slovenia.
Yes.
The one that sounds like it's the one with Melania. That's Slovakia.
The
one with the walk. That's Poland. The one with the communist-era buildings and corrupt government. That's all of them.
Thank you. Wow, that was good. We do get very confused about Eastern Europe here. Well, first of all, Americans are very confused about all geography. Hungary, you just got to make the English joke, with Hungary, being hungry. Talk about Turkey, being a turkey. Honestly, the guy's knowledge of Eastern Europe ain't half bad. I mean, summarized for Americans, this is incredible. I think a lot of Americans do know that vampires come from Romania, though. Specifically Transylvania, because of I think it's all entirely because of the Hotel Transylvania movies, but because of other movies out there too. Is Hungary with beaches just Croatia? I didn't even think about that. And then Croatia without the beaches is just Bosnia. Melania is from Slovenia. I actually unironically thought she was from Slovakia this whole time. Spoken like a true American. Wow, I don't know why did I fall for for that. Even as someone who like studies this stuff all the time, I still fall into those classic American traps. Nice job, GeoQuest. Please go subscribe. Countries the USA bombed, specifically after World War II. That's the important factor here. Well, a lot of countries got their independence pretty much following World War II, so I can see why you want to classify it like that. But if you include World War II, that would be interesting. I'm trying to, so are we going to do like a number system, or are we just going to talk about some of the, there's a lot of places in the Middle East, a lot of places in Southeast Asia. I guess let's get into the video.
Literally bombed one of the most powerful countries. Starting in Central America, the U.S. has bombed countries like Panama, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Grenada, the Dominican Republic, and even Cuba. In Africa, the U.S. has carried out bombings
in goodness.
Libya.
Here we go. Libya, Somalia, Sudan, maybe? That's gotta be some I'm missing.
Sudan and Somalia.
I got them all. Okay, never mind. Oh, the Middle East. Here we go. Get ready for this one.
U.S. bombings have occurred in countries like Yemen, Syria,
Lebanon,
Kuwait, Iran, Pakistan, and Afghanistan.
Yes.
Moving to East Asia.
That's not even, the Middle East is not a continent. It's like a subcontinent. Yeah, we've gotten so many areas in that region.
The U.S. has bombed countries such as
Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam,
Indonesia.
Indonesia. When was the Indonesia one? I actually didn't know about that. Oh, and then obviously the Korean Peninsula during the Korean War.
Europe. U.S. bombings have been seen.
Serbia. What else is there? We accidentally dropped a bomb on Spain once, but that was accidental.
Places like Serbia, Bosnia, Kosovo, and Montenegro. But during the NATO bombing of Belgrade, some U.S. bombs even hit the Chinese embassy.
Ooh.
This is why some say the U.S. indirectly bombed China.
That's not good. I mean, that is technically Chinese territory, the way embassies work. Whole lot of places. I'm not surprised, USA. Spain, what about me? Oh, wow, that's crazy that someone else referenced that. Technically, did the U.S. bomb Spain? No, but there was a tanker that collided over Spain in 1966, releasing 4 thermonuclear weapons. That's crazy. Yeah, not the greatest look there. Sorry, Spain, our ally. Well, I mean, yeah, they were essentially our ally. For those who are confused about Japan and Spain, I will explain. Japan, the guy in the video said countries after World War II. Yep. Spain, 1966, were 2 planes that have bombers. They collided near the coast. Yeah, there we go. Okay, just wanted to cover that. And the U.S., they talk about human rights. Lol. Bro be bullying the weak students in class. Very nice video, Glore. That was a lot of countries to cover, sadly. And a big old thanks to my patrons. I stole Drew Durnil's Robux and won't return them until he plays Cartwright into Drew Durnil. Alexander the Argentinian Grandpa. I'm back, boys. aPhatNarwhal. Connor, I will literally revive DOOCHBAGGINS. Fredrik doesn't realize Imperial Japan flag is the same as modern Japan. NordTyrol. Tambre, the Mexican 760. And ZaneyBoi.